So PlayStation Stars is a thing now, or I guess it will be. This is a new loyalty program launched by Sony to reward, I guess, PlayStation users for a variety of things. So we don't have a whole lot of details on it as of right now. There just seems to be some generic information. This is an article from the Washington Post. I've also got the official PlayStation blog article pulled up. Essentially, what this seems to be is a loyalty program rewarding people for completing certain objectives in games, for playing games for a certain amount of time. There's also talk of this monthly, recurring funds, I guess, of these points that will accrue over time just for playing a game. Just for playing a game once a month. And that's basically all we know about how to get points. As far as loyalty points go, this seems to be vaguely interesting. I'm curious to see what these rewards are. The PlayStation blog, let me see if I can find it. Here it is. It references things like being able to add funds to your PlayStation Network wallet, which I think is really cool, basically earning money to play video games. We'll see what the actual transaction rate actually looks like for something like that. It can't be too generous. If you're sitting playing video games for 12 hours a day, racking up these points, I mean, if they're too generous, it could backfire on them. So I am keeping my expectations low as far as how many points it's going to take to actually redeem, to get, actual money to spend on the PlayStation Network store. Yeah, it'll be interesting. But the part that I think triggered a lot of people was this. This is from the PlayStation blog directly, so this isn't from some other article. This is just from PlayStation blog directly, saying we are unveiling a new type of reward called digital collectibles. Every article that I've read, basically, from IGN to Kotaku to Forbes and the Washington Post, basically said, this kind of sounds like NFTs. But then here comes the Washington Post saying, down here towards the end, I want to get this right, so let me scroll through it. Oh gosh, I forget her name already. Last name's Chen. I can't remember her first name, I'm so sorry. But basically she says it's definitely not NFTs. Definitely not. You can't trade them or sell them. It's not leveraging any blockchain technologies. Definitely not NFTs. We shall see. There isn't a specific release date. They just say it will come out later this year. So this could literally be weeks away from releasing to months away. I would say we're definitely going to see this before God of War Ragnarok launches in November. So maybe August, September might be a good enough time to release this. There's not really, we don't know where this is in development as far as actually getting launched. And of course, there's also mentions in one of these articles about how there's going to be staged rollouts for something like this. They're going to release it regionally, so it's not like it's going to be available for everyone at once. But I would hope that because of one of the I'm losing my train of thought here. Basically, I don't think this can happen after God of War comes out, because they mention, here it is in the Washington Post article here, as part of PlayStation Stars, the first player to reach platinum, this is kind of like their, if you don't know, which I think you should know at this point, or you would know at this point, a platinum trophy is awarded for completing all the other trophies in a game. So there's going to be some super exclusive reward for the first person to reach a platinum trophy in a game. Now this is divided up by time zone, luckily. So they say they're gonna do their best to minimize any fraudulent activities. It says it right there. For people that are trying to get around specific time zones or something like that, so that they can get the reward first if they know of an area that's gonna get the game first. I think that's a smart way of doing it, because you can just change the time zone on your console to, at least you can for the Switch. I've never tried it with the PlayStation 5, but either way, there's ways to exploit something like this. If you know you're going to dedicate yourself for however long it takes to get a platinum trophy, you can get this ultra exclusive reward and kind of circumvent players who are trying to get this legitimately. Personally, I don't think I'm ever going to go for something like this. I rarely buy games day one anymore. I've just been burned too many times, so everyone else can have fun doing this. But this will be interesting to see how competitive this gets. I'm curious to see if, how that will end up working out. If they'll maybe they'll expand this. I could see this expanding this so that it's not just the first player that reaches it, but maybe the first, dozen or so, or maybe the first 100. I mean, depending on the game. They do mention explicitly blockbuster titles, so this is why I think this will launch fully before God of War Ragnarok, which is in November, which is plenty of time for something like this to launch, I think. A loyalty program like this can bring a lot of benefit to both parties, both to Sony and PlayStation and to the player base. I'm a big sucker for loyalty programs. I sign up to every single restaurant loyalty program that I can find, just at the chance of getting free meals like 3 years from now after I've ordered from them enough. But for something like video games, I think this needs to be very carefully done, because this can be easily exploited if they're too generous with their points, like I mentioned. Players can very easily exploit this. And what is this? Another question I have, because it hasn't been answered completely, is what does this mean for players who've been with the PlayStation brand for longer? Like, if I opened up my PlayStation Network account on a PlayStation 3 so many years ago, am I going to amass points for all the PlayStation 3 games that I've played, all the PlayStation 4 games that I've played? Is this going to weigh differently based on if I'm a long-term player versus a new player? I don't know. They seem to allude to that. Let me see if I can find it in the PlayStation blog article. I'm pretty sure it's where it is. Digital collectibles, things before that. Community challenges, critically acclaimed games, blah blah blah. There's our monthly check-in thing that I mentioned earlier. Points can be redeemed, blah 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 blah. Maybe it's not in here, or I'm just totally skipping over it. But they seem to allude to, at one point at least, that players who've been with PlayStation Network for a long time or have had their account for a very long time might be able to retroactively get points. It doesn't seem to be specifically laid out here, though I read it through, but I'm not reading it through right now in this recording. But if it's in here, I'll probably put a little note here that it is or isn't. That's my curiosity, though, because I think there's something to be said to someone who's already been loyal rather than starting it brand new for everybody. But then, some people just aren't born when a PlayStation 3 came out. Some people weren't born when the PlayStation 4 came out. So, how do you balance that between long-term players versus new players? Are points going to be really easy to get for newer players versus players who've already had their PlayStation Network accounts for a long time? There's a lot of things that aren't clear. It's purposely vague, I think, because they don't know yet. They mention here that they are currently doing early tests on this program before launching it later this year in phased regional rollouts. So hopefully we'll get more details soon. Again, we really don't have much. I'll link to each of these articles. I'll link to the PlayStation Network blog, IGN, Kotaku, for Forbes and Washington Post. Either get a subscription or just search for it yourself, I guess. But all these articles basically say the same thing, just kind of detailing what PlayStation Stars is and what kind of speculation, I guess. They all mention God of War Ragnarok coming out in November, so I think this will be it's pretty safe to say that this will come out beforehand. But no one knows what's going on yet. Everyone's freaking out about the potential for these to be NFTs, but again, like we saw in the Washington Post article, like we see here in Kotaku quoting that Washington Post article, it's definitely not NFTs, definitely not. You can't trade them or sell them. It's not leveraging any blockchain technologies, and definitely not NFTs. We shall see. I have been disappointed and burned before on companies trying to jump on the NFT hype. Unjustifiably so. It's stupid. Is that a hot take to say NFTs are stupid? I don't think so. But I don't know. Live your dreams, I guess. What do you think of the PlayStation Stars? I think this is I find it hard that this could be a bad thing. Unless they screw it up monumentally, like they turn them into NFTs. Yeah, that's where I think that's really the only area where I think they can drop the ball, other than really crummy exchange rates. It's got to be something that's fair on both ends. You can't be, I know I'm rambling at this point, but you can't be exploiting it to get more PSN wallet funds, but it also can't be too difficult to get, so that it's not worth it. We'll see how this goes. We'll see if this lasts. I kind of hope it will. I'm curious to see what this will end up looking like. But anyway, that's it for today. have fun speculating, I guess. Bye.